6:01. I'll call the Utilities Committee meeting to order. Could we all rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I call the roll, I want to let everybody know that Mr. Lee did call me. His shift change coverage was late arriving, so he is on his way here. And I don't know, I think we may switch the agenda around slightly so that we speak about rate structure last. Hopefully he could be here for that, because I think that's by far the most important thing on the agenda tonight. But with that said, call the roll.
Hicken.
Here.
Lee. Walther.
Here.
All right. With that said, Chris, do you want to take it away and move rate structure to 7?
Yes, sir. We'll start with the Scenic View Estates, which is just the map of the two different sewer service areas. It's a discussion we've been having about providing sewer service and water service to a development. It's about 1/3 of the development can easily come to the city. The other 2/3 would make more sense to actually go to the district, who is a lot closer in that area. So we have had a discussion with the district, and they seem very open to having that conversation moving forward. So that was a good thing. The purple circle along 310 is a future planned idea development way early in the planning stages, but it kind of runs into the same thing. We can easily get water there. Southwest Licking can easily get sewer there, so it was it's another area where some cooperation may be the best approach to get service to these areas. Just wanted to.
For those assembled, is there a need to be any more? Do you want to talk a little bit about, I was in the meeting, Mr. Walters was in the meeting, and you were as well. I don't know, maybe what our plan moving forward is. I don't know if that's premature, or is it? Any problem with that?
I think for the record, we probably should go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
So the plan moving forward would be, especially for Scenic View Estates, 1/3 of the sewer district will come, or the sewer service will come to us. The district has requested that the developer do some adjustments to their service area, mainly get rid of 2 grinder pumps that they use to service that area, and gravity everything to a main lift station that Southwest Licking has, and that would also include some lift station upgrades, pump upgrades to handle the additional flow. So we went, I spoke to the developer this afternoon to let them know they're gonna get a hold of the district and find out exactly what the district wants them to do to get service for that area, but they understood the whole thing and they're pretty open to it, so.
It's good to hear that they're open to it. I
Yes.
think one of the last parts of that part of the meeting that we ended up talking about was that it may, not good, it may be a good financial option for the developer themselves.
Yes, yes, it may. I believe he's gonna try and sell the force main option to Southwest Licking. I let him know that did not think that was something that any of the parties involved were looking to do, but I think he's gonna try it one last time and then go from there. But yeah, so he's gonna get into contact with the district and see what they require. So.
And one of the things I was gonna write down for my briefing tonight to council was, you talked about the district said that they were okay, they were looking for some, I wanna say pump upgrades, is it?
Yes, in the area, they have 2 lift stations that are just grinder pumps that service 4 houses at the end of these cul-de-sacs. And one of the things they want is everybody wants grinder pumps removed. So they want to remove those, turn that area into a gravity that feeds into this development. And then all of this development plus those 2 areas would go to a main lift station that they have. That would also include some pump upgrades to handle the additional flow.
Okay, can I qualify, Chris? Actually, 2/3 would go to that, and 1/3 would still be gravity fed
Yes.
to the
To
Pataskla sewer.
Pataskla sewer, yes.
Right, and
Yes.
then the other thing that they had said was, they needed to at least make sure the capacity, they had capacity for the flows.
Yes, that was
So
something they
that
were
was
gonna
the only other, those were the 2 items that I thought at least were in their list of
Absolutely.
things to do.
They need to verify that they can handle the flow and then the upgrades that they would want done for it.
Great.
And then this development would still be serviced 100% water from Pataskla.
100% water would come from Pataskla through the Beechwood Trails and Hazelwood neighborhoods, yes.
Excellent.
That's really all I've got for that. Next item, number 6, is general fees. I've got a packet stapled together, a couple pages from the ordinances. Most of this is to clean up some language. A few years back, I want to call it the service fee, turnoff fee, went from $25 to $35, which is covered under the very last page, 929.09. That language didn't get translated through the whole ordinance that covers water. So in Rule 8, Rule 9, Rule 11, I just wanted to make it match, to take the 25 out and put 35 in. Another aspect of Rule 8 is we used to do a quarterly billing cycle, which we do not anymore. It's a monthly billing cycle. And Rule 9 also says that when the bills come out in January, April, July, and October, they come out every month now. So just wanted to do some cleanup language with that. Maybe work on an ordinance to present to council to clean up the language. The big portion of this is rule number 15. So what we've done in the past, in the pre-cons, we tell the contractor that if they operate our valves, that there's a $1,000 fee attached to that if they operate the city-owned valves without authorization. But we really don't have anything outside of the pre-con that lays that kind of a fee out for operating our valves. So I wanted to add that somewhere. I thought Rule 15 would be a good place to add it. Obviously, the language that I wrote down there was just an idea, general idea. It's not the proposal or anything like that, but that's what I was thinking. Give us something with a little bit more bite than just the pre-con.
Mr. Walther, do you see that in any other place where there's penalties?
City of Columbus, absolutely.
Good.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what it is, but I think it's more than 1,000.
I would imagine, but I would imagine we're on the low end.
I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's pretty steep.
Mr.
One
Walther.
question here. I remember a year or so ago, we had a discussion about shut-off meters for apartments. And we had talked about notices and different things. Is that covered in a different section? Do you know, Chris?
I'm not sure.
Remember, this was an issue where we had a landlord, and
I know.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir. So
Okay.
it is. Perhaps.
I'm just wondering if one of these rules
It
should
is a
talk
different.
about that.
So I didn't print the whole ordinance off. I believe it's in a different section.
Okay.
It talks about the ownership of the water responsibility.
If I can real quick. I don't think that has ever been codified, actually. I think it's just been more of an internal policy that we've operated with.
So what I wanted to, so a suggestion I was gonna make, that's exactly where it's going, BJ, is if it isn't a codified ordinance, I think for our own sake,
That makes.
we should probably, and I think what we've got now, we've worked through that, kind of that, non-codified rule.
Right.
Wouldn't, it may make sense to make it a rule
This would be a
within
good
the
time to
codified
do it.
ordinance.
I agree
Absolutely.
totally. Good to have things codified and be able to point to them.
It'll help you.
Yes, sir.
You will help him.
Do we have any idea about where that specifically, where, you're talking about putting it in here, would you just be adding
So I think something like that would be probably just added a separate rule completely as opposed to trying to tie it in.
I would suggest that.
you know?
And it's a
Um,
notice procedure. I remember a big discussion about it. We talked about how that would all happen, and I think we worked it out in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Where both parties, both the city and the landlord were happy with, or well, that they established that that's what the rule was. Leave it at that.
Yeah, and I would, if you read Rule 9, it's in the talking about delinquent
Shut off.
water bills, shut off, then that's probably a good place
Probably a
to
good
put that
place.
in.
If we're gonna change it, we might as well change it to include that, in my opinion. Okay.
I would agree with that. Where does that take us in the life of this document? Are you gonna come up with that language and bring it back to the utility committee, or?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I can come up with that, present it to the next utility committee meeting, and then move forward from there.
Mr. King?
I'm not necessarily needing to see it again, honestly, Tim.
Okay.
It's a rule that we
That's
went
fine.
through great discussion for about 2 or 3 meetings to have this non-codified rule on notices and so forth, and how we were gonna do it, and who got the notice, and where the notice was sent, and all that. I know you remember it.
I do.
So I'm just suggesting that we go ahead and put it into the changes and present those to council.
And, let's see, typically, would we be talking about making a motion to adopt these here?
Typically, ideally, it would be a recommendation from this committee for adoption. If the committee does want to see them again, I would request that we hold a committee meeting the same night a first reading on these would be, so we don't lose any time.
We could do it, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
just so we can clean up some of the inconsistencies that we have in here.
And if I follow you correctly, you just said, Andy just said he didn't need to see it again, but you said typically we would take a vote on it unless we wanted to have a brief 15-minute meeting before the next council meeting. Are you okay with that, Mr. Walton?
It's-
Either way is fine.
The other part of that was the council meeting after that brief 15-minute meeting would be the first reading of these changes. So
That's
we're
fine.
not losing any more time.
So that would be the next meeting.
Chris won't be here, but
So Chris won't be here for that, so.
I can
I can have it all written up.
handle it.
I'm fine with it. Based on what I've seen here, I mean, you're just going through and you're changing 25 to 35. You're adding the unauthorized operation of city-owned water, and you're adding the new addendum to Rule 9 for shut-offs, if that's what the best way to put it.
Cleaning up the language from quarterly billing to
Right.
billing cycle.
So if we could, let's do it that way.
Mhm, absolutely, that works.
All right.
All right, I have a couple things under other I'd like to talk about real quick.
Sure.
On April 11th, we had the Southeastern OWEA section meeting, which was 4 plant tours in the area. It was Buckeye Lake, Southwest Licking, Pataskla, and one of Fairfield County's wastewater plants. This was the first time that I can remember that Pataskla has participated in this. The guys did an amazing job cleaning the plant up, making it look well, still continuing their daily operations. In the middle of this day, we also had to load agri-sludge because it was time for land application, and they still gave the tours. We had 64 people come, and we split them up into 2 groups. I led one group with Rich, our wastewater plant operator, leaned on him for the technical information. Ryan, the plant superintendent, led the other group, and we got a tremendous amount of compliments on it. It was a huge success, something I'm excited to do again. It was really well done. So there were reps from local communities. There was one guy from Toledo. There were people from the EPA there. It was a nice section meeting. It was good to be part of that. So
Did you say what the 4 were? Buckeye Lake, Pataskla?
Buckeye Lake, Pataskla, Southwest Licking, and Fairfield counties off of Steeman Road. I think they call it Sycamore Creek. So I just wanted to give the guys props. They did a really, really, really good job on taking care of that in the middle of everything else they were doing.
Awesome. Kudos to them.
Under that also comes the agri-sludge, came this week, coordinated with Mr. Sutherland to apply to the fields. Agri-sludge came and hauled all of our solids for the last 6 months in less than 2 days. That's something that took us 3 weeks to do on our own last year because of the size of their trucks. They also did the land application process before the weekend hit. They did some of the application process at night because of rain on Friday and the EPA limits on how soon and after a rainfall you can apply. So they came in Friday night, I believe, is when they came in and finished it up. And Mr. Sutherland went behind them, tilled it all in. So the entire application process outside of the paperwork is done in less than a week, which is tremendous for us. It was money well spent. It saved us a lot of man hours at a busy time of year, so it went really well. We are still going through the process of bringing it back in-house. We did have our rep from Evolution Ag come and give a class on how to operate the tractor. And then I'm still going through the learning process of the paperwork, so the goal is still by next year to do this completely in-house again, with the exception of maybe hauling. The amount of time that they saved hauling was tremendous, and they do offer that reduced rate for hauling only, so I think that may be something worth looking into in the future, saving wear and tear and just time on getting the product to the field. So,
I'm happy to hear you say you're still continuing forward with it, because
Yes.
of course, as you know, originally that program was sold as a savings, and
yes.
I'm
yes.
sure it's a lot easier.
Yes, and we have employees that are excited to do it. Our new field tech crew is, to be honest with you, those field techs are excited to get on tractor. They want to do it. They think it'll be fun. So this is a great bridge to take care of the fact that we lost some expertise this year and get us back on track where we should be. So that went really well. I spoke with Terry Friday evening on the way home, and he was very pleased with everything they'd done. So seemed like a win all the way around. And now we've got empty bins that we can start filling with product once again.
All right,
So,
Mr. Walker.
Chris, on that, that's still a tonnage rate, correct?
Yes.
They're charges per ton, so it's not an overtime issue. They can do it Friday night, they can do it Saturday morning, they could,
Absolutely. However they want to do it, they can do it.
okay,
Yeah,
it's just a
right.
tonnage issue.
Correct, right.
Okay.
The benefit is that they can do that at night, and if we were doing it in-house, it might take longer to get that kind of thing done, dodging rainstorms.
Sure.
But as far as the city's concerned, it's just mass product. That's all we're paying for.
Got it, thanks.
That's all I have under other.
So as I anticipated, I did receive a text from Mr. Lee. He said he would be here at 6:22, which is about 5 minutes away. Do we have any problem adjourning so he can be here for the rate discussion? Do you have any problem with that?
You want a recess?
Recess.
Recess, sorry, I don't want to. I keep hearing that door gang, and
People keep sticking their heads in
he's waiting.
and then go back out.
So we want to temporarily adjourn.
We want to
No,
recess.
recess.
Blast it. I've got that adjourn in my head. Maybe I just want to be done. Okay, so I guess I would entertain a motion for a recess.
Recess, motion to recess.
Motion to recess? I guess I'll make a motion to recess.
Okay, I'll second it this time.
Hicken,
Yes.
Walther,
Yeah.
Recessed at 6:17. And if he's not here by, not a recess, if he's not here roughly by 6:25, we'll start back up and have a discussion.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
as promised, Mr. Lee arrived on time, or the time that he promised. Welcome, Mr. Lee. I need to entertain a motion to come out of recess.
Motion to come out of recess.
Moved and seconded.
Hicken,
Yes?
Walther,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes. All right. Let us continue forward with the agenda, and we are now on rate discussion.
My apologies for the late,
Okay? Appreciate you getting here.
nothing I can do.
You gotta buy pizza this time.
I can do that.
Or bring pizza. Okay, so the rate structure packet is bound together. Most of the packet is the same information we've been going over and discussing. The top two sheets are new information. The top sheet is the utility department debts, their payoff years, and the outstanding principals. Then the next packet is my take on the swims that Nate has been building, different funds. I reprioritized what I thought could wait and what I thought was more pressing. The yellow grid is something that we plan for every year as we're going along. The brownish grid is all I&I issues, and as we've discussed, the I&I issues are something that the EPA plans to put in our discharge permit, and we have to come up with a plan to address that. So I kind of separated those as they will be addressed as part of that plan in the future. And moving forward, the green and blue, green is for sewer and blue is for water. And the dark green project there is the Mill Street water main project, which we wrapped up earlier this month with the exception of yard restoration. So I broke them down by year. All of these items would be beneficial to the system, and all of them would be nice. However, I don't believe that Any of them are dire emergencies with the exception of the Beechwood Trails water towers. The coating inside and especially outside needs to be addressed on those two towers. The other things I pushed them to a year as best I could, but they are relatively flexible in their level of importance. So this was to give an idea on expenses that we thought may be coming up in the future to help with the rate structure discussion.
I appreciate that. I wanted to thank you guys. So I think originally what the committee had requested was kind of a outstanding things that might be coming to bite us, if that's the right term. The way that your predecessor had done some of his forecasting and such made it kind of, I don't know if difficult's the right word, but it was very ambiguous, and so I really thank you guys for putting this together, because it kind of continues to show us some more information to help us make the rate determination. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions about what we've got here. Mr. Walton?
Just a quick question on your first sheet. You had put on there the 2007 water service bonds. You say payoff date of 2017.
Yes.
Is that off the? It's off. And then the 19 is one that will be at the end of this year, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the 19-1, yes.
Okay. Just checking. I just wanted to make sure that these weren't like 2 years behind or something.
Oh,
weird.
right.
No, these are the accurate payoff years and the outstanding balance.
Got it.
And, I mean, I appreciate that. Obviously, we see that a significant portion of the debt doesn't come off for a while. And as we know from previous discussions, these are not debts that can be prepaid.
Right.
Because of the way that we got the money, the way we took the loans, or the people that offered them. So, I appreciate that. I don't see any, does anything, I guess I would ask, BJ, Chris, and Jamie all, if you guys see anything in here that gives you some strange pause, and I would also ask if we have budgeted for the water tower issue.
For the coding,
Yes.
I don't recall if that's part of Nate's CIP or not.
And the only reason I ask that, while you guys are looking that up, and you may have it at your fingertips and you may not, but, you know, that's $550,000 in 2020. And do we think that that's gonna be a significant detriment when we look at the slope of the line, the water line, as the rate discussion has progressed? Do we think that all of a sudden, because there's that big project that we had not foreseen, that water line would take some type of precipitous dip, which is, I think, why Andy asked the question in the first place?
I believe that is the CIP funded,
Okay.
but I can confirm that.
Yeah. Yeah, it appears he had it in 2020.
Okay. So that means that's
So
not,
it is, but
so it is budgeted, it is worked into the slope of the discussion.
yes.
What's next, Chris?
So the rest of that finance bundle is, like I said, it's the same information that we've been going over. The first little staple packet is the current rates. Packet after that is the EPA's survey for statewide rate averages and how we compare to them. There are the 8 rate increase options and the fund graphs behind that. Each rate option's carryover balance, how it's basically the numbers behind the fund graph. Then there's the dollar amount for each option. These are final amounts, so options that go for more than 1 year or go over, take 5%, 0%, 5%, 0%. This is the last increase. This is a total increase over the whole plan. And then the longer sheet packet is again the rate comparison with all 8 of the options to neighboring communities that are similar in size or scope. So again, you can see that options 6, 7, and 8, option 7 and 8, both funds begin to increase and climb. Option 6 is close, but the sewer line starts to flatline and is slightly declining. And then every option before that is just a little bit less.
I know, based on where I sat last time looking at this, the option 6 is the one that I like the best. I'd like everybody to weigh in and see what, because I don't know that I'm wed to it, but,
Say option 6. I'm sorry.
6.
yep, option 6, mostly because, I like the 505050 theoretically. And it does leave the sewer, although it's on a downward slope, with enough of a carryover, in my opinion, to absorb any immediate emergencies. And if we, I mean, that's, how many years out is that? That's another 5 or 6 years out. So, Mr. Lee?
Just a little bit different there. I prefer, sorry about that. I prefer 7 or 8, just after looking at it. I think 7 still gives the years off. But for 60 cents more a month, it does make the line even better. So I guess, I don't know that there's, I think the big benefit to that 7 over 8 is giving people the years off. Can you not hear me?
Just the very end, I heard, I think there's a big
The,
benefit to that.
I like the option 7 that does what 6 does, and it gives the years off. But then you go to 8 and it's 60 cents, and makes the fun better. So I guess 7 would be my preference. That would be just based on reason I go with 7. Looks like it's $4, a little shy of $4 more based off the 5,000. It does give the years off, and I just think that I like to see that line come up for the unexpected things. I'm just more comfortable with the line going up than going down. And if something unforeseen comes out there for Chris, it's we're a little bit more comfortable. So I'm leaning towards 7, but I'm not wed to it either.
Okay? Mr. Walton?
Just, Chris, a quick question. On the sanitary funding budget for 2019, we've got the $1.4 million phosphorus removal, digestion and dewatering, which is as I understood it, was a loan we were taking, a low interest loan.
Yes.
How did you, so let's just use that as an example. How did you fund that so when I look at your overall graph, and you're saying these are our projects that we're gonna see coming in, how did that break up? How did that get paid back, I would say?
So into the.
What assumptions did you make, I should ask?
Well,
You want me to take that?
Yes.
You sure?
Yep, I sure am.
Originally, I think it was budgeted for $500,000 in 2 years,
Correct.
and so that got taken out, and this is 0% interest loan, and I think, can't remember if it was 7 or 10 years, I was thinking it was 7 years, $200,000 a year debt service.
Okay, so that
Cause
got put into the red
Yes.
line essentially
yeah,
to
so the $1
show.
million got taken out, the 500, and $200,000 a year for 7 years got put in.
what portion of that is coming out of the capital fund?
Debt service is all coming out of the,
So it doesn't reflect.
the capital improvement fund, it's a transfer to the debt service fund.
So it's not reflected in this graph at all? Okay.
Well, it is.
Yeah, I would.
So the $1 million came
Oh, I'm
in,
sorry.
the $1 million of appropriations that would be in the 652 fund, right? It was taken out, and so then $200,000 annually transferred out to the debt service fund was put in.
Okay. Got it.
But it's spread over 7 years as opposed to a spike in 2 years.
Okay. I'm just gonna comment on the numbers also. my personal opinion is I would favor 6 over 7, even though I believe 7 does give a little bit more funding for some breathing room, essentially. But I would also say that if, the reason why I would lean towards 6 is it gives us a little bit better, or at least in my opinion, a little bit better ability to react to whether an increase or decrease should happen. You know, we've not done 8, and then been sitting there looking at another 8%. So we've done 5 and 5, and then if the last year, 2024, if that would need to be increased to like a 10%, I think it could be made, that differential could be made up then. That's my opinion on it. So I guess I'm looking towards, I'm favoring the 6% also, or the number 6 option, which is the 50505.
Mr. Lee,
Um,
sorry. Mr.
No.
King, do you wanna talk?
No, I wanna hear what,
I was actually, that was my next question, now that we've all given our stance on it, I'd like to hear from, I know what Jamie's gonna say, but, I'd like to hear from Chris and BJ, which one do you guys prefer?
So I prefer 7 or 8, obviously, I think that the cost of doing business goes up every single year. And I think if we can get the trend to start to climb, it would, I don't know that a huge surplus will be formed, because I think the cost of everything from electric to fuel to chemicals to salt to chlorine, wages, all of that is going to continue to go up every year. So I feel like an increase trend is what we need to do. A small increase trend, but I think we need to be trending up.
Mr. King?
and I agree with 7 or 8, only because as I look at the sheet of capital projects, the one looming thing is the I&I stuff, which will be funded by the sewer funds, and I just feel like that's gonna be something we're dealing with for years to come, trying to fund those improvements. Was it 48% of our inflow to the plant is through I&I?
Last year, yeah, 48% of every gallon that came to the wastewater plant was rainwater.
I'd just like to add to that too, one of the factors for me too, when I favor 7 or 8, I hate to, pigeonhole it, I guess you could say, but it's, to me, it's not a lot of, you're talking a couple bucks, and if that's what it takes, to get us going back up, it just makes sense to me, so, that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Well, I don't know that, I tend to listen to the professionals, or I try to. And like I said, I wasn't necessarily wed to 6. I think it's interesting to hear you guys talk about the I hadn't considered that. I also think Mr. Walters' point is very good, that it's possible that we get to a point where that's not necessary, meaning perhaps we do recover. And so that second 8 is a 5. If we see the trend going,
Yeah, you could go up or down with it.
so I think I could probably modify. Now, Andy, does that change your mind any, or are you? And I don't know that, I mean, look, this is gonna be a council decision, I
Yeah,
just
I
wanna.
was gonna say, it's gonna be council decision on this. I think both arguments are not arguments, but opinions are good opinions on it. I can see Tommy's point, it makes perfect sense. I think that, there's a lot of big projects that are on the horizon. And as Chris had said, some of them are going to be done and some of them could be pushed off. So I think that's why I was leaning towards the lesser rate increase. But, what we know today is not what we'll know in 2022 either. So, I mean, there's all kinds of different variables that none of us can foresee.
That's another story.
With that being said, with us all being on the same page, what if we, because I think we do have to push it up to council, make a motion to recommend. What if we just recommended to council to take a look at 6, 7, and 8, and then council make the call?
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
I think that we could make both opinions
Yeah.
known to council, full council, and
Yeah, just say we recommend 6, 7, or 8, and we hash it out there, because that's where the final vote lays.
If everybody remembers, the next step here was gonna be a pretty in-depth review for individual council members, probably via email or some methodology. So, because we spent a lot of time on this back and forth, we've all put a lot of work into, trying to find the best way and not hitting the public bam with a big number and stretching it out of the time that we talked about. So I think, let's do that. We'll move forward with that, give them that option, and, at the next, now, hey, can you help me out with the legislative process here?
Well, yeah, what we'll do, next steps for us is we certainly will get this information out to all of council via email. Request that they don't respond to all, so we don't start getting all of that. Then I would hope that one of the upcoming council meetings that the administration would be able to get some sort of consensus, so we could draft the legislation and present it at the following meeting. It will have to go should go 3 readings because it's an ordinance.
I would want it to anyway,
Yeah.
in case, the public wants to come in and make statements about it or whatever.
One thing, to not lose sight of is we did want to have enough time remaining to, have several months for education process.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think that's a plan. Gentlemen, do you have anything else, on the docket?
Do we wanna bring Tom up to, just from our meeting today with the district, just a minute and a half, summary?
I think that'd be good.
Chris,
Yeah, we can do it. Tommy, in the packet, there's a map.
And by the way, our buildings and grounds should be quick, so if you want, if you wanna go 5 minutes, that's cool, a little bit extra.
Okay, it won't take too long, I don't think. So we've got, on that map there, the red circle is a property called Scenic View Estates.
Yes.
They, water and sewer service, the water service we can provide to the entire neighborhood, through Beechwood Trails and through Hazelwood. The sewer service is a little more difficult. The bottom left third of that development could, be gravity fed to, Hazelwood's sewer there. The upper right 2/3 cannot easily be gravity fed to our existing sewer. They pitched an idea to use grinder pumps in each individual lot and make them privately owned, to where the responsibility would be on the citizens, collect a force main, to bring it around to Hazelwood on the bottom left-hand corner. But instead of, having that responsibility fall on the citizens, and the utility department is not really interested in adding 40 pumps to the inventory. The thing that made the most sense would be to offer that upper 2/3 sewer service to the district. They're very close, they touch the property borderlines. So we had a discussion with the district. They were open to the idea. They had some things that they would like the developer to do. What they have currently are 2 grinder pump stations that they would want to get rid of. Have the developer pull those stubs that are fed by grinder pumps into their development, and then bring it all down towards Barrington Ridge to an existing lift station that Southwest Licking has, and then also increase the pump size at that lift station to handle the extra flow. And then the district has to verify that they can handle the extra flow that would come from that development. So it was a conversation about cooperation between the 2 entities to service this area. The purple circle on the left is very, very early in the planning stages, very early, but it's the same situation. We can easily get water to them from the north end of that development, but sewer is not easy for us to service that area. Right across the street at Apple Blossom, Southwest Licking has a 12-inch sewer main there that allows them, as long as they have the capacity, to serve that area. So there's a couple areas where some cooperation may be the best route to service these planned developments. So it was a very promising meeting.
Was
discussion.
there any service cooperation discussed for Fannin and Deagle?
There was some discussion about that. Possibly having a water source come from Hazelwood into Fannin and Deagle, where the city could provide water, and any infrastructure that was built in there would be the district's, as they would move up to their planned water main expansion coming down Hollow. So almost being built in reverse if need be to service Fannin and Deagle quickly. And then at the point that they would connect to their existing infrastructure, that valve would be shut and would become an emergency interconnect.
So they would serve Fannin and Deacon.
They would, once they get their infrastructure down there, then it would become the district's infrastructure. It would be our water until they can connect to their sources, but their infrastructure.
At least there's progress being made.
Absolutely, it was very, very promising.
I'm just gonna add one more thing to it, a lot of progress, actually. I think that, in this case, where we're turning over a little bit of our service, sanitary service area, we're turning over any water service. But this certainly makes more sense for the developer to develop these lots. Makes better sense for Chris and the utility department, but it also, opens up, some discussion of some other areas that are not only these three, but potentially others that are,
Correct.
that are coming down the path.
Okay, good.
It was
Great
very-
It's only gonna get more complex as anything happens where the two utilities touch each other.
And we're talking and making progress, that's all that matters. So, From one building back.
That said, looks like it's 6:47. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded, Kathy, call the roll.
Hicken,
Yes?
Walter,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes. You don't have any. We can't.